Okay, so check it. A lot of people wouldn't tell you a story like this, but I'm not a lot of people. So I'm going to just dive right into it. Like Martin said, I got to talk. I got to tell you how I feel. Got to talk about my life as I see it. So, of course, somebody will call me as soon as I start the story. But so it's the summer of 1994, right? I'm about 16 years old. I'm in the 10th grade in Goldsboro High School, right? So at this particular time, one of my closest homeboys, Cleveland, aka Pookie, and may God rest his soul. We lost him last year, forever in my hearts. But so one of my boys, Pookie, he had just got a brand new Mazda 626. Now, I don't know if they make these anymore, but brand new Mazda 626 for Christmas early that year. So me and him, we used to ride, and if anybody know him about that time, we used to ride everybody in that 626, ride around smoking, getting high, doing all types of devious stuff. So this particular time, it's 1994. Everybody know what came out in 1994. Biggie's Ready to Die. You know me, I like respect to all the gunman, damn, everyday struggle, hustler. So, of course, everybody and their mama wanted to be a hustler. Even people like me, who didn't really have to hustle. So, now I'm in 10th grade. I had a Latin class with another brother. I won't say his name. I might tell you his name later. But he was sort of like me, too. He had a quote unquote good home, 2-parent home, lived in a, middle class neighborhood. So me and him was tight, but he was also tight with another hustler. Now this hustler, he wasn't, he was really hustling. Like he was really getting money in high school. So I think he was in the 12th grade at the time. So this hustler used my particular homeboy that I'm talking about for a mule. Now, if you don't know what a mule is when somebody is trafficking drugs and they get somebody to either drive for them or they either get them, to go get the package and bring them back. Now, this particular time, I think my homeboy drove up somewhere, maybe in New York, drove back, and, he came back with the package of crack, package of cocaine. So as a fee for his being a mule, the guy gave him, some crack to sell. Now, once again, I told you, like, we were from, residential middle class neighborhoods. So, my homeboy, I don't think he was really out there on the block. Right? And this before I even got out there on the block. But once again, I wanted to be a hustler, right? So one day we were sitting in Latin class and my homeboy showed me this crack, right? He had some crack. It was in a big red outside wrapper. The big red come with 5 sticks of gum. You take one piece out, and the outer part, that's where he had the crack in. It was this yellow crack. It was about 5 pieces, and you can tell he had it for a long time because it was all mushy and soft. Like, so he probably had this crack for a week. So I'm telling him, look, man, hit me off with that. Now, anybody know what it means to be hit off? That means, somebody give you some crack to sell or give you some drugs to sell on consignment. You go sell the drugs and you bring the money back to them. So I'm like, man, hit me off with this. He like, man, I don't know, man. I'm like, come on, bro, I can sell it. So he was like, okay. So after about 2 days, he finally gave me the crack, right? So I'm thinking, yeah, I'm about to make me some money. Now, mind you, I hadn't really jumped off the porch yet. I had dabbled and dabbled, sold a little weed, hung around a couple of drug spots, but I really wasn't out there like that. So I had this crack. So on this particular day, it's like once again, it's like the springtime. This particular day, I'm riding with Pookie and my homeboy Juicy. Shout out to Antonio Jones. I asked him about this story. He actually remembered. So, I'm going to speak his name in it as well. So now Juicy, he was a little ahead of the game too. He came from a family of hustlers. So he already knew the game and everything like that. And he had just moved into the neighborhood, of the quote unquote middle class neighborhood. So me, him, and Pookie, we stayed, within a few blocks radius of each other. So we, every day we get up smoking everything. Pook had to ride, And so this particular day we riding, right? Pookie driving, Juicy in the front seat, and Mom in the back seat with his crack, right? And so I had already told Juicy I had it, you know. So I'm like, yo, you know, well, you know, what was I gonna do with it? So, you know, he was like, man, you know, you can sell, we're running some crack here or something. So now Pookie, he didn't sell no crack. He sold like weed. So it was two different products. So he wasn't riding around trying to help me sell the crack. So this particular day, we riding, smoking, listening to that Biggie, and we stopped at the Texaco on Ash and Jefferson. Now, anybody know this Goldsboro, you know, the Texaco on Ash and Jefferson. It's probably named something now because the Arabs got it. But, and I'll tell you another story about that Texaco later on. But let me stick to the strip. So, we at this Texaco. Poop get out. Poop get out. You know, everybody how he go to pay for some gas and, you know, get whatever. So, it's me and Juicy in the car. And so, I done had this crack for 2 days, right? I ain't made a sale yet, so I'm getting kind of bored and anxious. So, at this point, I got a pack of cigarettes. No, matter of fact, I think I asked Juicy for a cigarette. So, Juicy in the front passenger seat, he give me a cigarette. Now, all the while, I don't know what possessed me. But I open up this crack. Open up this big red pack of crack. Pinch a little bit off, you know, it breaks off in like a little mushy substance. Because like I said, the crack was already old. My man had probably had it under his bed and let it get all melted or whatever. So I took a little pinch of this crack. And so I took the crack and I put it in the end of the cigarette. I stuff it in the end of the cigarette, right? So now, car full of weed smoke, you know, music blast, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna hit this. I'm just see, you know, once again, I don't know what is going through my 16-year-old mind. So I fired up, hit the lighter, hit it, right? Thanks be to God, I don't feel nothing. I don't feel nothing, right? And so, you know what I'm saying? So I smoked the cigarette. So my man Juicy, he looked back at me. He said, man, you put that crack in that blunt, did you? I said, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. What you talking about? Juicy, you know Juicy real calm. He said, man, yes, you did, man. You put that crack in that blunt. And so, mind you, I hadn't, this before I jumped off the porch and been spending, you know, nights in crack houses and, you know, in Willis Simmons pool hall where you got crackheads smoking all around you and you know the smell of crack. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know the smell of crack. So, but he had already been in those environments, so he knew how it smelled. So I'm like, no, I didn't, man. Ain't no way in the world he can tell. You know what I'm saying? So I denied it. I denied it. So then Pooh come back to the car. You know, Juicy calm, smoking the blunt. And Rick put some crack in that cigarette. No, I didn't, man. No, I didn't. So Pooh look at me. And Juicy, you know what I'm saying? And but what's so great about those guys, man? Like, they never said anything else about it. But I know it probably stuck in their mind for the rest of our lives, right? And I messed around, man, and hit that crack. And thanks be to God once again, nothing happened. I didn't feel nothing. Like, you know, like 2 years later when I hit the powder cocaine and I felt the feeling beyond explanation and I fell in love with it, nothing happened when I hit that crack. And I'm so thankful to God because if you've been around Goldsboro, you knew younger people. You know, if you from my era, you knew younger people who were in a high school or had just graduated high school, 18, 19, 20, 21, walking around freely smoking crack because they had tried it and got addicted to it, right? And so, luckily for me, at that time in my life, at 16 years old, I didn't feel anything. It didn't grab me. And so I'm thankful because when I look at those people who, you know, have struggled with crack cocaine or, you know, maybe still struggling with it, I don't look at them in a downward manner because I know that if it wasn't for the grace of God, you know, that would have been me. You know, if it had grabbed me. But luckily, once again, prayers of the righteous, sometimes God keeps you from things that you don't know about. Like, once again, I don't know what was going on in my 16-year-old mind to hear everything that I've heard about crack and be brave enough to put that crack in the end of a cigarette. But thanks be to God that nothing happened to me. Now I share this story now because there's a lot of people today in 2023, 2022 around this city of Goldsboro who has been passing away from drug uses. Now it's the new drugs, the pills, the fentanyl. Everybody putting fentanyl in everything that people do. And a lot of people are passing about it, and I hear the stories, and everybody seems so hush about it. Like, well, don't ask how they died, and don't talk about it. No, we need to talk about it because it's killing young people, 25, 35, 19, 42, 50. It's taking people away from here, and we acting like, oh, well, that's nothing that needs to be addressed. Don't speak ill of people with addiction. And one person who understands addiction is myself. And the only way I got over my addiction was admitting it and talking about it and seeking help and realizing that I was killing and destroying myself. So for us as a black community to see these things happening and we're so hush about it, and we celebrate these deaths and not really address the core root of the issue and try to talk about the reasoning of the deaths to keep it from happening to somebody else. So that's my takeaway from this video. It's a funny story to me, but it could have turned out much worse. Because once again, I could have been, I struggled with powder cocaine use for over, 20 something years, 23 years. So I can imagine, the strength and the prayers and the determination that it would have had took me to overcome a crack cocaine addiction or heroin addiction. Actually, I'll tell you a heroin story too. But I hope everybody takes this video and, get the main point out of it. That, we as a community is experiencing a self-destruction. We have become willing participants in our own destruction, and we've accepted these things as something normal. But there's nothing normal about every other day or every other week you hear about somebody passing and drugs are involved, and we just keep hush about it. So I just thank God that I'm still here to try to encourage and let people know that you can overcome the addiction of alcohol, of crack cocaine, of any addiction that you may be experiencing. So rest in peace once again to my brother Pookie. Rest in peace to all of the people who have lost loved ones due to this, and I'll call it a drug crisis. It's something because every time you hear about opioid use, which is prevalent, in the white community, they call it a crisis, where these people need help. And these people, I saw a commercial where they was like, well, opioid use can be a terrible thing. You can suffer from cravings. You can suffer from withdrawals and depression and loneliness. Like, okay. But, in the early 90s when crack hit and it was affecting the black community, it's a crack epidemic. These people need to be locked up. These people need to be, throw away the key. So there wasn't a sympathetic nature in regards to, once again, the crack epidemic and things like that, as it is to this opioid epidemic that affects a different type of community. Nevertheless, I pray for everybody who's suffering addiction, and I pray for peace and comfort and, just love for everybody who has lost someone to addiction, man. Y'all stay with me. I'm going to tell some more stories about my life, and hopefully there'll be a testament, an inspiration to other people. But y'all be blessed, man. Peace and love. Taylor House Publishing. If you haven't, get my books. Peace and love.